Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, welcome to Today's My Favorite Day. I am here today with April Beck from Oasis Pregnancy Center and Marne Kendrick, who is going to bring some wisdom to our conversation today. And Marne goes to our church here. But we're going to talk about Amendment 4 to the Florida Constitution coming up on this next election cycle. And the problem with most amendments is that people don't read them. So I'm going to read the amendment, and then we're going to let Marne speak to this, because this is very, very critical for the state of Florida right now. And this amendment has to do with abortion rights. So the title line is Amendment to Limit Government Interference with Abortion. Summary: no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by the patient's health care provider. This amendment does not change the legislature's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent or guardian before a minor has an abortion. Now that sounds very, very good, but we know for a fact that it's not.
Yes, we do.
So I know you have 10 points for us. Once again, this is April Beck with Oasis Crisis Pregnancy Center. So April, why don't you start us off and just give us a 30,000-foot view as to what we really should be looking here, and then we'll get into your points.
Let's do that. So Oasis is pregnancy care center, and we work with women who are in planned and unplanned pregnancies, and we speak with women every day who are considering abortion. And what we do is we work with them to help them make their best choice. We help them to understand the risks of abortion pill and other forms of abortion. We give them the information they need to know to consider the safety precautions and all of those things. We do not shame or force or, do anything negative about abortion if they are considering it. We simply ask them to slow down and consider and take into account all of the ramifications, because it's a permanent decision for a temporary situation. Yeah. Right? What feels like a crisis may not necessarily be a crisis in a year. And so there are so many women who just have so many regrets. So this amendment talks about the limiting government interference. Now, if you're politically conservative, you're like
most of us, yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, let's limit government's interference. But the government interference they're talking about is safety precautions. The government interference that they're talking about are safety precautions for women who may be abused by this law, literally, and be put in danger and at risk. If you want to do this, if you want to read the amendment, I'll point out that we'll do it one more time. I can point out the vague terms in that. How about that? So that we can get it really specific for our voters today.
So we'll start with the title.
Yes.
Obviously, the title is Amendment to Limit Government Interference with Abortion. Who on the conservative side would not go along with that?
So what you should be aware of is that the purpose of this amendment is to legalize abortion up to birth. And that really should be the title. An amendment to legalize abortion up to birth. They don't say it that way because there would be a huge outcry among many, many people, right? So they put the focus on government interference and take your eyes away from the fact that the things in this amendment would cause women to be in danger of being convinced to have an abortion in very unsafe ways. Next part of it.
No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability.
Okay, so that statement is intended to remove all the safety laws, all of the considerations, everything that keeps a woman safe in considering abortion, such as having an ultrasound before she would have an abortion. So an ultrasound does a number of things. We offer ultrasounds for women who are considering that termination. And the important reason for an ultrasound is that a woman needs to know that the pregnancy is in the correct place in the uterus. If there are no ultrasounds, okay, if there is nobody's checking on that, then a woman could go get an abortion pill, but have an ectopic pregnancy. An ectopic pregnancy is when the pregnancy is in the wrong place, it's in the tubes, and that pregnancy is life-threatening if it's not dealt with. So if there's no law to say you must have an ultrasound first, then taking an abortion pill is not going to be safe for this woman, because she's going to think that her pregnancy ended when in fact her life is going to be in danger because the ectopic pregnancy will rupture.
Yeah, and those are more common than most people realize.
Yes.
So the next point just says or.
Or. Right.
It's only a little small word.
It's a small little word, okay? It's a huge, huge loophole. Okay, the problem with the loophole, I said loophole, sorry, loophole. It's a great leap on a loophole. So the danger about that is when you say or, then you open a door wide. So or what? Or when necessary to protect the patient's health. They don't define health. All right. So they don't define what's necessary to protect a patient's health. If a woman doesn't have that ultrasound to find out that her pregnancy is not where it should be, she's going to take an abortion pill because they're wanting to sell it to her. She is not going to know that she has an ectopic pregnancy if they don't require by law the ultrasound. And
then she's going to go on thinking everything is good, normal, and
right.
She won't be looking at the symptoms around that pregnancy to go get checked.
Sure. And so she thinks her health is protected, right? But her health has not been protected in any way, shape, or form. What's the next part of it?
Define healthcare provider.
Well, see, that's another one. As determined by the patient's healthcare provider. They have literally, in this amendment, removed medical personnel, doctors, nurses. A healthcare provider could be a nice lady like you or me sitting in an abortion clinic selling abortion pills and saying, yes, it would be very traumatic for you to have this pregnancy. We understand that in order to protect the trauma you could experience, the discomfort you could experience, here, you could take this. And that's not a medical provider.
No, and at this point in time, when some women come in and they are really stressed, you got to have a professional, right? You just have to have somebody who, number one, is looking out for the patient, not necessarily,
right?
And it is educated, is a healthcare provider, is a primary care physician, an OBGYN or whatever, but has the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to talk to the lady.
If a woman does not have a test to determine what her clotting levels are, she could take an abortion pill and bleed out in her bathroom because her blood won't clot. There are safety regulations that will be removed through this amendment that will cause critical danger for women. So if she's not dealing with an actual medical doctor, then she's not going to be checked for all of these important things that she should know about her body before taking a chemical abortion.
So the next statement says, this amendment does not change the legislature's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent.
Right. So what they didn't say in this part of it is that right now parents have to give consent. Right. This completely reverses parental consent for a minor to have an abortion. They can be notified, but they do not have to give consent. So someone could talk your 16-year-old daughter, your 14-year-old daughter into having a chemical abortion, and you would get notified down the road.
Yeah,
later.
I can see where this will work, and where a young lady is in and she decides she wants to have the abortion. She's been coached or counseled by I guess I shouldn't name the organization, but go ahead and they could perform the abortion all while leaving a voice message. And my guess is with the ambiguity of the law.
Yeah.
Well, I tripped over that $5 word. They've notified.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we've had young women in our clinic, and they say, my parents are going to kill me when they find out I'm pregnant. And it's a very, they're very upset, and they're like, I can't believe this is happening. Well, and a healthcare provider who doesn't check on the safety ramifications of this 14-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, or anybody of any age that is childbearing years, the dangers to their body are incredible. We missed one word as we were going through here. We missed the word or restrict abortion before viability.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big word. Viability typically has been recognized to be about 24 weeks gestation. Viability is possible sooner than that, but viability is not defined in this amendment. Therefore, there's no gestational age listed about when a woman can seek an abortion.
So that can be from start to finish.
Start to finish. And that's why this really should be called the amendment to allow abortion up to birth.
So, Marne, you were going to bring some of a legal mind to some of this. Could you speak to a few of these things?
I'd be very happy to if you will keep your eyes off of my boot and my surgical shoe here. I'm sorry I had to wear these, but I had foot surgery recently. So anyway, I just love everything I've heard April say. With a legal background, I went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and I was literally shocked to see just how many instances of ambiguous, misleading terminology you will find in this. The whole thing is nothing but ambiguity, really. Right. When you look at the title of it itself, and the third word is your first ambiguous word, your first misleading word, it's not limit, it's prevent. Okay, an amendment to prevent what kind of interference? Government? Oh, do you mean the duly elected legislative representatives of the people of Florida who voted for those representatives and who voted for the laws that have previously existed? Yes, I guess that's the government they mean, but it sounds terrible, especially to a conservative. And interference is a loaded term. That's just intentionally misleading, too. What's really being discussed is sensible restrictions that apply to such things as the age of the pregnant female and the safety precautions that should be taken. So, and then, I mean, there are at least 5 other ambiguous words, and April has mentioned all of them already, so I won't go there. What I just want to say is, the thing about this is, we have to understand what a constitutional amendment does. The Constitution of the state of Florida is like that of the United States of America. It is the foundational, fundamental, most important document. All other legal authority flows from it. So when you have a constitutional amendment that says no law may delay or restrict abortion, you're saying not only are the previous laws that the people of the state of Florida voted for done away with, but they're not going to be allowed to pass any new ones either. For the foreseeable future, this is going to be the law of Florida, and the only way you can ever pass any law restricting or putting any kind of safety precautions in place again is if you repeal this constitutional amendment, because it prevents you from passing laws.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. They just think it's, a new law. But it is a constitutional amendment. Right. It is a change to the Florida Constitution as it sits today. Now, Florida does have some laws on the books concerning abortion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what is the current law right now?
The current law right now that took effect May 1st is called the Heartbeat Protection Act. And so abortion is illegal right now in the state of Florida when a heartbeat can be detected. So that's the newest law. Previous to that, it was 15 weeks. And previous to that, it was 24 weeks. So our state legislature has been working hard to protect women in the state of Florida, to protect them from the dangers of this, misleading laws that would cause them to endanger their bodies.
But I think that one of the things that, as a voter, what we need to do, number one, we do need to go read this again.
Yep.
Number two, if you want to know really the background and the backbone of this proposed constitutional amendment, is there is a financial disclosure required for everyone who has donated to bring this constitutional amendment to a ballot.
Yes.
And you can look and see who the primary sponsors of this bill are. One is Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. There's, oh boy, and I spaced the name of it, but it is another liberal PAC that has brought this forward. So now you have some more points there. I don't want to gloss over them. So
I think what these 10 points will do is kind of wrap up the things that we've said as we've read through the amendment.
Okay.
So we don't have to belabor them, but I think going through them and just remembering these 10 things are really, really important. So the first thing is its deceptive title, and we talked all about that, okay, and how that this amendment is actually designed to allow abortion up to birth. Undefined terms is the second reason why people should just not even consider it, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life. You should just not consider having a law on the books, a constitutional amendment on the books with such undefined terms, because you really don't know what you're voting for. It will change based on whatever lawyer gets a hold of the term and argues for it.
Or whatever abortion provider argues for it. They can also redefine such ambiguous terms. I'm just saying that's another danger. It can mean whatever you want it to.
Yes, it's intentionally ambiguous. Full-term abortions. The amendment removes all limitations and regulation on abortion, which could result in legalized abortion at birth, which is unthinkable. Parental consent. Okay, parents have a legal right to consent currently. This will remove that and give them only the right of notification. Notification is not enough. Health criteria. A patient's health could be defined as mental health, emotional state, financial health. It could be defined as anything, just as you just said. And so therefore, health consideration is so ambiguous that they could use any term they want to. Non-doctor approvals. This is number 6. The wording allows non-doctors, like non-medical staff members at abortion clinics, to perform abortions, compromising the health and well-being of women. And that's, again...
That to me, that's just a scary provision.
That's unthinkable, right? Nobody should be for that, because it endangers the lives of women. Yep. It endangers the lives of women. Number 7, the 7th reason, safety regulations. The safety regulations that are in place now and have been in place are completely removed by this. We talked about one of them, the law that says you have to have an ultrasound before getting an abortion. That ultrasound is for the purpose of making sure the pregnancy is in the correct location, and if a chemical abortion pill is given to a woman with an ectopic pregnancy, she's going to be in danger, because it's not going to end that pregnancy, but that pregnancy, when it ruptures in her tubes, could end her life. Number 8, this refers to what you just mentioned. The 8th reason is the principal backers of this amendment kind of give you a clue to who's out there trying to be this ambiguous. Planned Parenthood, ACLU, and George Soros' Open Society Fund. These groups previously opposed a Florida law mandating medical care for babies born alive during abortion procedures. Out of state, yeah.
So, just folks, so you understand, they've put over $300 million towards this particular amendment and for the wording to come up this light. And they still have approximately $30 million in their war chest.
Yes, they do. Here's another thing they've done. Number 9 is out-of-state influence. Okay, these are people who have nothing to do with the state of Florida. Backers spent millions on out-of-state petition gatherers to get the signatures needed to put Amendment 4 on the ballot. So not only do they have a huge war chest, not only are their follow the money, they always say, right? Follow the money. If you follow the money on this, they want women to get pregnant and have abortions, They train junior high and high school students in the sex education programs that are backed by Planned Parenthood tell kids they don't have to tell their parents if they're sexually active. It's great to be sexually active. And they go through this whole thing. And the whole reason is so that they can make more money on abortion. It's gut-wrenching. And then number 10, it's extreme and misleading. Beyond its title, Amendment 4 is too extreme and deceptive for Florida voters. Please vote no on this.
We would encourage you to do your due diligence. We would say vote no on this amendment. Just as we've read it, it is very ambiguous. It is not in alignment with most Floridians' values. So, April, thank you so much. Marnie, thank you for your input. This has been Sam McKeown. Today is my favorite day. Live intentionally. Be very, very blessed. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Ball. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.